Hello, YouTube, Jarl of the Appian Way. Appius Attius Rillis here, yet again, with another replay. I got plenty of replays. I get so many, and I can't stop taking them. I gotta watch them all. Anyway, this one was submitted to me by a good pal of mine, Wicked, who recently participated in the in a tournament this past weekend, and he beat the first round. And unfortunately, he did get eliminated in the second round, but I wanted to go ahead and show you his tournament replay from the first round where he did win, and maybe we can see if we can pick anything out and see what recommendations we might have for Wicked going into future tournaments. So let's see what we have here. Wicked's brought Durthu. This looks very similar to the army he brought in that really ridiculous 3v3 we saw the other day. So Durthu for what are they called? Eternal Guard? Yeah, Eternal Guard with shields. One of them's Regiment of Renown, the Winter Heart Guards. We've got 3 Way Watchers, 2 Wild Riders with shields, and 2 Glade Riders with Hagbane tips. It's a decent army. It feels small to me, but hey, it got the job done. And I'm looking at it. I'm wondering about your armor piercing potential with this army. You have plenty of kite potential. And the Hagbane tips will do wonders, especially against Greenskin, slowing him down. But what are you going to do about, say, Black Orcs? Are you just going to countercharge them to death with your Wildwood Riders? Anyway, what did our Greenskin player brought? This match is only 5 minutes long. So we have a grand total of 3 units of Forest Goblin Spear Riders. There were 2 regular Goblins deployed, 2 Orc Biggins, 2 Orc Boys. The Night Goblins, looks like Regiment of Renown version of the Night Goblin Fanatics. Orc Boys, as mentioned. Durthu Heirs, 2 units of Black Orcs. Wurzag. Wurzag is on his Boar Mount. Basically 2 of each type of infantry. And a Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archer and the Moon Howlers, the Goblin Wolf Rider Regiment of Renown. The Greenskin player went ahead and deployed quite wide, and Wicked has only forward deployed off in the distance is 2 Glade Riders with Hagbane tips. And right away, the Way Watchers are doing some decent work against Forest Goblin Spider Riders, but maybe save that ammo for something a little bit more deadly. Yeah, these Night Goblins are a good choice. If they're the Fanatic version, they'll be swinging in some loonies at you. You don't want to have to deal with that. So let's see if they have loonies. Sure enough, they do have loonies, and if they release that right down your line of Eternal Guard, that could be pretty deadly. But the Eternal Guard are staying up. They're engaging the infantry, leaving a lot of room for their troops to just move around the battlefield. There's lots of space here, so this is going to take a lot of attention in micro. Here comes the Moon Howlers, probably hoping to get a grip of some of the Way Watchers, and sure enough, they're going to get in here, but not before getting countercharged by the Wild Riders with shields. Absolutely. Durthu Heirs don't have much to shoot at. Here comes the Wa, maybe triggered a second too late. Eternal Guard are just going to get eaten up by these Night Goblins. That's interesting. The Wa has a pretty big benefit there, but right now Wicked's attention is mostly spent on microwing his flanks, and he's getting some shots off on Wurzag. That's not a bad call here. The Wild Riders are going to do great work fending off their flanking cavalry, and look at this. Here comes... Oh man, Durthu Heirs just nuked a Glade Rider. I didn't expect that. I would go ahead and pull out these Hagbane. Oh, Foot of Cork activated right on top of Durthu and his Eternal Guard. 2 units of Eternal Guard, but not the best target. Man, Wurzag's getting nuked as well by the Way Riders. Or not the Way Riders, the Way Watchers. And he's done. He's had enough of this. And possibly there might have been like a flock of Doom or something to peel off those hit points. Alright, so the Greenskin Cavalry advantage is just evaporated. Durthu Heirs are too busy chasing these Glade Riders with Hagbane tips, and sure, why not? But I'm still worried about the impact of these 2 units of Black Orcs. Where have they gotten to? One of them's in this engagement right here with Durthu. Durthu's probably your best answer to that. But we have another almost fully healed unit of Black Orcs over here. Hopefully, I think he's trying to pull as many units as he can towards Wurzag to shore up Wurzag's confidence. And sure enough, that brings him back into the fight. Okay, so the Foot of Gork was a good idea, but I would have waited and used it on something that had a little bit more cavalry, large units, so they don't get chucked around so much. So here goes an Here We Go for plus 44 melee attack. It's a good call, putting that on the Black Orcs, hoping they could just tear off some more hit points off of Durthu, but Wurzag and the Effigy to get is probably your best bet for getting some real damage done to Durthu. And now everything's really starting to get pulled into this engagement, and that's, yep, exactly what I thought. That is a Flock of Doom brought down on top of all of these greenskins, and the hit points just melts away. Durthu up to 52 kills. Didn't kill a lot of units, that Flock of Doom, but it did weaken these units considerably, as the greenskin player is now all in on this engagement right here for Durthu. It leaves Wicked with plenty of time to wrap up all of these other engagements with his cavalry. Look at all the work that's getting done in the distance. That's a really, really good play for him. Unfortunately for Wurzag, he's overcasting spells. He only has 394 hit points left. I think these Wild Riders might get a piece of Wurzag here. Or at least that's what I'd be thinking of doing. Or maybe even using these Glade Riders. Now he's going to go ahead and bring in his Wild Riders into the flanks of these Orc Biggins. Hit and run, please. Don't just stay there. Biggins are like the Orc version of Spearmen or Halberds. You don't want to be... Oh, here comes another Flock of Doom. And those Biggins, they've had enough. That rear charge penalty was actually enough to break them. And yes, exactly. Don't let Wurzag get away with only 342 hit points. Charge him. Chase him down. If he can kill him, he can absolutely finish the rout of the enemy. 312 hit points. They didn't do much work. They tried, and they're actually going off to try and help wrap up the engagement down here. And that's letting Wurzag go free. I think he should have stayed committed. I don't think those Glade Riders with the Hagbane tips are going to bring too much else to this engagement right here. We got 2 units of Black Orcs, pretty much the only thing still standing, and the Night Goblins. And see, now you've just gotten your Glade Riders with Hagbane tips tied up in this engagement. The Force Goblin Spider Riders, who also have poison their own, and the Night Goblins have done a fantastic job in tearing apart low armored infantry. But that was the end of the battle. So everything ended up just fine. I think you benefited greatly from the really, I would call, sporadic pick of the Orc player. Let's go ahead and take a look at it at the end result screen. It says it was a Pyrrhic victory. I kind of agree with that statement, but look, your Way Watchers were never even touched. That's phenomenal. And your Wild Riders did amazing work wrapping up all these engagements on the flanks, absolutely making the Forest Goblin Spider Riders look silly. And I didn't even see Dirk get Squigs. Totally missed that unit's contribution. But look at this. 2 Goblins, 3 Orc Boys, to 8 Peak Loonies, so that's what it was. 2 Orc Biggins, 2 Black Orcs, to Rusty Arrows, 3 Force Goblin Spire Riders, the Moon Howlers, Dirkit Squigs, and Force Goblin Spider Rider Archers. Big army, but not enough tools. I would say, like, I would ditch the Goblins unless you knew that you're going to have, say, more Night Goblin Archers, and then they could, they would be okay at stopping the charges of, say, Wild Riders. Not good, not great, certainly not a counter pick, but okay at stopping Wild Riders with shields, because they can get in the way, the Wild Riders will knock them over, push through, but it gives your archers some time to focus fire on those Wild Riders with shields. The shields being the only thing that'll really stop them from arrows from, say, to Rusty Arrows and in concentrated ranged fire. If I'm Greenskins and I know I'm going up against Wood Elves, I'm probably bringing more Orc Biggins because, again, those Wild Riders are a scary unit. What are your boys going to do against Wood Elves? They're too slow to catch skirmishers. They're not really good enough to face Eternal Guard. Unless you went really wide with your Orc Boys, you brought 6 units of them, and you're banking on the fact that your opponent maybe only brought 3 or 4 Eternal Guard. But if the Wood Elf player also brought War Dancers or Azrai Spears, then your boys are totally outpicked. And actually, the same goes for Orc Biggins. I'm pretty sure Azrai would defeat Orc Biggins. So then that leaves you with Black Orcs. Okay, Black Orcs were a solid choice. They only lost about half their health, all said and told, and they were the real staying power that he had. So maybe you go for more Black Orcs overall against Wood Elves. Wood Elves don't really have much of an answer to that, with the exception of, say, more Treemen, or Treekin, or I'm trying to think, what else would I bring as a Wood Elf player against Black Orcs? I might bring a Glady, use the that pin ability, and then do concentrated like Starfire Shaft fire into Black Orcs will really melt their armor. Anyway, that was an interesting battle, and I'm glad I got to see it. Sorry that for Wicked, he on his tournament draw, it looked like if he beat round 1, he was going to end up having to face I think it was Shetland Apache, who is a very good competitive player. And as luck would have it, Shetland Apache actually lost his round 1 match, and that just meant Wicked had to play the guy who was good enough to beat Shetland Apache. So either way, it was just a bad draw for Wicked. And sure enough, he was taken out in the second round as he picked Skaven up against Orcs, oddly enough. So we had 2 engagements versus Orcs. First one went well, second one not so well. Both engagements with Warzag. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I did. I'll see you in the next one.